Welcome to Florida Gators Live, episode number 40. Wow. Feels like it's kind of just flown by as most of this off season has. We don't have an off season here, but it just feels like it's flown by. We're 20 days away until college football kicks off in Ireland and 27 days away at 27 days and 30 minutes until Florida kicks off against Long Island. Keep inching closer and closer. I can just taste it right now, Tyler. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, this is the point where it really, it didn't really hit me that football was getting so close. But, when fall camp, media days are done, when you, start getting into fall camp, it's like, wow, Hall of Fame game the other night in the NFL. It's like, okay, we're getting there. Football season drawing closer. And we've got some actual, not games, but some on-field football to finally be able to talk about today.
Yeah, it's at the point to where it's like, hey, you're waiting for the weekend and you're waiting for that college football weekend. You may not be a fan this weekend right now. You got SummerSlam going on. If you're a fan of that, then you get a little break next weekend, but then big time UFC event if you're a fan of the UFC in 2 weeks, 13 days from now. And then right after that, week 0, and then Gators playing. It's going to fly by. It's going to fly by quicker than the offseason flew by.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's been what, 5 months, 6 months at this point, pushing since the end of the season more. So yeah, I mean,
5 months since it's been 4 months since the basketball season ended.
It's been 6 months, 6 months, I guess 7 months since the national championship game, 6-7 months since the national championship game. But yeah, so I mean, I feel like that's flown by, and now we got 1 month left to go, not even. So we're from week 0, like you said, only a couple weeks. So it'll be here before you know it. Football season almost back.
Yeah, a little fun fact I learned about this past weekend. Todd Bowles, the head coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, Kyle Trask is probably going to end up starting their first preseason game. Baker has a minor injury, and Kyle Trask is starting, but something I just realized or noticed, Todd Bowles' son, Todd Bowles Jr., is a starting defensive back for Long Island.
Oh, really? Oh, I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a funny little coincidence there that our first week 1 opponent is the son of the head coach for the football team, the NFL football team here, one of the NFL football teams here in Florida. So it's weird because he plays for Long Island. You would think, because he's from Tampa, it's like you would think that may play for a team in Florida.
Maybe he is from Tampa? Because did he grow up in Tampa? I'm trying to remember how long ago Todd Bowles would have left New York.
Well, if I look at his,
they probably lived on Long Island, because I think all the Jets facilities are on Long Island, or or at least they do some camps there.
Tampa Bay, Florida. ESPN says his birthplace is Tampa Bay.
Well,
but yeah, maybe he did live on Long Island. You might be right about that. But just a funny little coincidence that I came upon that I thought might as well talk about here.
Yeah, I haven't gotten the chance to do my my Long Island roster deep dive yet. Haven't gotten around to that one, but we will.
They got a quarterback that's going to be real interesting when you look at his statistics and when we get ready for that game. So, but now we're going to start off by talking about DJ Lagway is practicing. Earlier this week, it was reported, or last week, I guess now it's Sunday, it was reported that DJ Lagway has suffered some type of leg injury. Some reporting an ankle, some reporting a calf. We don't really know which one it is. I don't think we still know exactly what it is. But what we do know is that yesterday at the open practice the Gators held for Florida Victoria members and the media, DJ Lagway was throwing the ball in warm-ups. Throwing it, had some nice deep balls to Trey Wilson, was throwing the short stuff to all the receivers, Khalil Jackson as well. I know he had his injury about a month ago, so it's nice to see DJ Lagway. He didn't participate in the 11-on-11, so that's something that we'll wait and see when he starts doing that. But he was there, and there was so much breakdown. Maybe not so much breakdown, but so much worry about, okay, it's another injury a month before the season. We waited all spring practice, and he didn't play. And it's like, okay, he's finally healthy. He was at SEC Media Days talking about how he feels great. and now he's injured again. How long is this one going to take? Well, they had the practice on that Wednesday, the first one, or Thursday, and he just missed the 1 or 2 practices, but then he was out there throwing the ball in front of all the fans, had some nice passes, as I said, but this really is going to ease the minds and hearts of a lot of Gator fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, luckily it seems this one wasn't too serious. Probably seems like he's back on track to be fine by the start of the season. But I mean, I think some of that worry was kind of warranted. I mean, I kind of had a pretty similar reaction when I heard about this, because it's not that any of the injuries are like particularly bad or things you're worried about being recurring. It's just that they keep stacking up for a guy who's only started 6 games, 7 games. He's been dealing with a lot of things and a lot of different things. Obviously had the hamstring last season, had the shoulder in the spring, had the surgery for the sports hernia, which I don't know if we've gotten complete clarity on that, but it sounds like that was maybe a lingering thing from high school. And then the calf sprain, obviously, that he's dealing with now. So, I mean, just another thing. And I mean, it does concern you, especially for a guy who, does use his legs, or is at least at his best when he's using his legs. I think keeping him healthy and protected is going to be probably priority number 1 this season. Luckily, Florida has what should be a very good offensive line. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see him obviously back out there. I mean, it's kind of hard to believe, but that, in practice yesterday was the first time he's thrown in practice, in a practice setting all off season in 2025. So, obviously,
well, there was some debate about that.
Was there?
So on Friday, you had, I think, Zach Albaverde reported that he was throwing in the practice facility. And then you had Nick Delatorre report that he didn't throw at practice. Maybe it's just a confusion of this was in the practice facility, not necessarily with practice.
Yeah.
And that might be where the confusion of, okay, he did or he didn't practice was coming from. We can say for sure, we all saw it with our own eyes.
Yeah.
Or he saw it on Twitter. People saw it with their own eyes that he was throwing on Saturday.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's fair. There was a little bit of kind of conflicting reporting there. But either way, whether it was Friday or whether it was Saturday, that's the first time Lagway has thrown in a practice setting in 2025. So, I mean, that's obviously huge to see. We knew he resumed in, I think, June, but we never, that was obviously after the end of spring practice. So, nice that he's at least finally able to start getting rapport with some of these guys, with the freshman receivers and J. Michael Sturdivant. Because he hadn't been able to do that. Out of the walking boot, obviously had, like you said, the sleeve on his leg. But, I mean, obviously seems like progress at the very least. I mean, is it a little concerning? Sure. I mean, no one wants to see Lagway injured, and the fact that it's kind of just these things that are continuing to nag him, like, not what you love to see. But, in terms of this specific injury, I'm not really worried. I think he'll be fine. It's just, can he get through a season without dealing with more of these? And we'll just have to see.
Yeah, reports that I heard, so you can see the little compression sleeve on his left leg. From what I was told, that at this practice, he wore it the entire time, and there was no pain, there was no immobility. He was fully good on his leg, and nothing really happened. Maybe if he takes the sleeve off, he'll feel some pain, but from what I heard, everything went really good. So I'm hoping that means here within the next week or so that he's fully practicing, that he's practicing in the 11-on-11s, running with the team, getting ready for that week 1 game against Long Island. And, hopefully in a week or so, we're not here even talking about, okay, Lagway's healthy. We just know it's just a given until it's not a given.
Yeah. And I mean, it'd be huge if he's able, if he's able to finish out the rest of fall camp, because we don't, I mentioned this before, but DJ Lagway needs the reps. DJ Lagway needs to practice. There's things he needs to work on. He needs to build chemistry with the receivers, like I was just saying. There were shortcomings in his game last year that if he's going to take that step to being a Heisman contender level quarterback, that he needs to work on. So, that is a concern to me that he didn't get the entire offseason, because in theory, this should have been such a huge opportunity for him to improve, because, you go into the offseason, you're the incumbent starter the entire time. It's not like last year where, you're probably seeing less reps than Graham Mertz is. Not probably, you are seeing less reps than Graham Mertz is. Now, he was going to get all those reps himself. I mean, I guess it's good that they're going to Harrison Bailey if we're going to have injury concerns, at least till I've gotten a decent amount of offseason reps. But yeah, I mean, Lagway really needs to get the work in if he's going to take that leap, because I think we all believe in him and we all think he's got the potential to be really, really good. But if he's the same quarterback he was last year, that's not going to be something Florida can lean on to go 11-1. He's going to throw some interceptions and make some mistakes if he doesn't improve.
Yeah, I see what you mean. He needs some reps. I think, though, a lot of Lagway, what he needed to improve on was watching film. He said it last year, or he said it at at the media days. He had never seen his zone coverage going into his freshman year in college.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot of that. Obviously, you need to get some reps, but you learn a lot of that by watching film and learning when he needs to take the takedown, getting that mental clock of when he needs to escape the pocket. I mean, some of that you do learn on the field, but I think a lot of what Lagway needed to improve on was learning, just learning that off the field stuff and watching film. Yeah. And although I do agree with you, he needs to build connections with his receivers, because I think something that was maybe one of Lagway's best parts of his game last year was he knew he could trust his receivers to throw him open. You saw all the time last year, or at the end of last year especially, where he would throw the ball before the route would even break, because he knew Badger or DK were going to create enough separation. They have enough speed to get to the exact point where Lagway was putting the ball. Happened a lot, especially against LSU. There's like 3 passes that we might not win that game if he doesn't make those passes, which a lot of QBs don't make. That's throwing with anticipation. And, bring it up all the time about Lagway, he's going to throw interceptions, true freshman QB, he throws those interceptions, but still, he had more interceptions than he had turnover-worthy plays, which a lot of QBs, it's the opposite. So I think that's something that maybe is a bit over, it's a bit, what am I trying to say here? Not overlooked.
Overstated.
Overstated, yeah, but maybe overstated about Lagway's game.
Yeah, I mean, that is fair. But I mean, I think overall, I think that boom or bust nature is kind of why he wasn't as efficient as you maybe would have liked him to be. I mean, obviously there's 2 extremes. I think Graham Mertz was kind of hyper efficient, but you didn't get the explosivity. And I think we would all agree that the offensive product, with Lagway, even with the inconsistency, I think we would all agree that was the preferable offensive product for the most part. And so, but I mean, because, Lagway completing less than 60% of his passes, but averaging 16 yards of completion, if he can just take those checkdowns a few more times, I think it's good that he's looking downfield and wanting to make big plays. But I think you're right. I think the main thing he needs to work on is understanding the times you don't need to do that. And I think he'll get better. But I mean, there were interceptions he threw too that were just, guy wasn't where Lagway thought he was going to be, or he just didn't see a defender. Yeah. Defender came out of nowhere to him. And then those are the things that I just I don't worry about those things. I just think they're things that he would work out very quickly with the offseason reps. And because he hasn't had those, he's going to have to get comfortable very quickly in season. And hopefully, he's watched enough film and learned enough, even when he hasn't been able to participate, that he'll be fine.
Yep, absolutely. Right here, Mark. Almost all of his miscues were short to intermediate throws. The mistakes are correctable. Film study, but also footwork, which his hamstring may have contributes. Yeah, which may have contributed. Yeah, I mean, it is, because how many times do we see Lagway throw an interception on a deep ball? I mean, I think the FSU game, but that was his receiver running the wrong route, which I think with Lagway throwing, he throws with so much anticipation of his receivers doing the right thing that if the receiver runs the wrong route, do you put that on Lagway? I don't really think so.
No. Well, I mean, not necessarily, at least. It depends on, it's hard to say, because we don't know exactly what happened, but yeah.
Rob, 3 of his interceptions were on end of games and half trying to make a play. I worry not about his decision making. Yeah, there's a couple plays that make you worry about it, but I mean, the 2 against Tulane, are really the
He
ones
still
that
had
come to mind.
6. Like, he still had 6 interceptions in like 7 games aside from, like, I'm not arguing. Like, I agree, Rob. I'm not worried about his decision making, but like, it could be better. I mean, he was a true freshman quarterback in the SEC.
Yeah, it could be better. I think, well, you look at the Miami game, he had the one interception there where he throws it like right away and it's just hit. The game's over. All line isn't blocking. I mean, it was Cam Waits blocking for him, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know if you put that on Lagway's decision making. He had a Hail Mary attempt against A&M at the end of half. You don't put that on decision making. Spirito falls when he's throwing the ball to him. So I don't think that's also either on decision making. The first real interception, I think, was the Tennessee game. And then he had the one versus Kentucky, those two. None versus Georgia. None versus LSU, although he had one that probably should have been a pick. Then he had the tipped pass or dropped tip from DK, a little high, but probably should have been caught by DK. And then the one versus FSU we just talked about, and the 2 versus Tulane. So really, it's probably like 3 or 4 you put on his 4 or 5 maybe. You put on his decision making. So I'm not too worried about it either.
Sure, but it's like, but you can do this with every quarterback. Like, you can justify and explain. I'm just, and is it, completed below 60%? Like, I'm just saying, like, this is not me trying to criticize DJ Lagway. This is just me saying that it is unfortunate that he wasn't able to throw more this offseason.
Do you remember a dropped interception versus Georgia?
Not specifically, but I also don't remember these interceptions as vividly as you remember all of them. So
yeah. Thanks. I mean, I'm looking back at the Georgia game because, going back to the Georgia game, the first drive, it was the slip by ball in the third or second, like 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1 where ball slips. And then, I don't think there was a tipped dropped interception there. Oh, okay. I think on the second drive, it was close. I think like it was a linebacker like reached back for it. Sorry, I just lost. Can you say something? Sorry.
Yeah, nothing changed on my end. Everything seems normal.
Sorry, my headphones just said disconnected and then connected again. Okay. That was weird. All right, we're good. But I think the one versus Georgia was less of a drop. But I mean, it's not that many. He also played less snaps than a full-time starter. So maybe there could have been more, but we'll see. He obviously needs to improve on some things. And I think even with Lagway from last year, I still think you're in a really good QB who could still make a playoff push. Probably not make a title push, but I think this Lagway from last year is still a QB that could bring you to that playoff contention.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I think if you got end of season Lagway, especially healthy for the entirety of last season, you could pretty easily talk me into 2 of those games flipping, and then Florida's in that conversation last year. So yeah, I mean, I think if the defense is what we think it's going to be, for sure. I just read these comments and I see y'all being like 12-0, and I'm like, okay, but if it's going to be 12-0, I think that's going to require a level of DJ Lagway that, an elevation of where he was last season.
Absolutely. All right, we'll have a bit more of that if you guys want later on. Soon actually, we're gonna be talking about notes and everything else that happened at this Saturday's practice. A player who really stood out from people I've spoken to and heard about that. Really, if he's healthy, he's going to be a very fantastic player for us. But first, I want to tell you guys about the voice of college football Twitter. You can see it right there at the VOCFB on X. Sorry, Twitter X. We all know what we're talking about here. And they recently asked a poll that was very close, as you can see right here. 186 votes. How many teams should be in the college football playoffs? So the least amount getting 4, which I think we're too far gone for 4 now. I don't think you can go back to 4. And I think with the way college football is now, okay, so actually something interesting I thought about. Last year, the top 4 teams in the playoff ranking, so not based on like the seeding, but the actual rankings. It was Oregon 1, Georgia 2, and then was it Penn State? No, Texas 3, and then Penn State 4, right?
Wait, sorry.
I think that was it.
You're talking about What are you talking about?
The final playoff ranking last year.
The
The actual.
No, yeah, it would have been Penn State and Did Penn State play? No, you're right. No, it wouldn't have been Penn State in the top 4. Who else was in the top 4?
No, it was Penn State. I'm pretty sure Penn State was 4.
Oh, I'm thinking of the seeding, not the rankings.
Yeah,
so we don't
have to worry about
this.
Actual...
So we don't have to worry about this anymore because it's straight seeding now. I think Oregon, Georgia, Texas, Penn State, or Penn State, Texas. Yeah, something like that.
So what I'm getting at here is they would have had 3 2-loss teams in last year, which hadn't happened at all in the playoff history.
Yeah.
And they would have had them over a 1-loss Notre Dame team. And I feel like I don't know. That just felt really weird. But I mean, Notre Dame did lose one really bad game and
bad loss.
They didn't have that many good. I don't think Notre Dame had a single top 25 win last year until the playoff.
They may have, but I think they beat they beat like Louisville or something. I think they beat like a ranked Louisville or something like that.
That's right,
yeah.
Louisville. Because A&M finished unranked, and so did USC was not ranked when they played them. So yeah, I think Louisville's right. That sounds, yeah. So I don't know. I feel like we're too far gone for 4. I think there's so much parity now in college football.
Yeah.
So I've always been on the. Yeah, I've always been on the 8 train. I think 8 would have been the good amount. And I still do think that because, I mean, last year the Georgia Bama game did matter a lot, and it's gonna matter no matter what. But I feel like that game would matter a lot more if only 8 teams get in. I mean, Bama was maybe a 56-yard field goal away from getting in last year, in the Clemson SMU game away from getting in. But if it was 8 teams, they wouldn't have got in. I mean, I'm on the 8-team train. I'm gone with the 12. I think we should do 16.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm fine with 12. Like, I think I was always fine with 12, honestly. Like, of all the changes in college football that people didn't like, the 12-team playoff I thought sounded really cool. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it this year. I think it was certainly an improvement from 4. I think I'm personally fine with 16. I mean, the FCS has operated as a 16-team playoff for decades now. Obviously a little bit of a different dynamic there. Like, I understand the criticisms with a 16-team playoff, but like, I'm sorry. Like, I think it being decided in a like with the most playoff games where, you know, it's not super exclusive to get in and you get the chance to prove it on the field. Like, I think that it's 12 now, Rob. It's 12 teams right now. But probably moving to 16 after 2020, after this season, probably beginning in 2026, in all likelihood, moving to 16, almost certainly at least 14, probably moving to 16. So more expansion probably coming after this season. I mean, I think it's fine. I think, you know, the devaluing the regular season, like, I don't know, like, to me, those games still matter. Like, I think people still care. Yeah. Like, that's never really moved me too much. I think maybe 16 is too much in the sense that there will just be teams making the playoffs that probably have no real shot at winning a national championship. But to me, that's fine. Like, let them lose and you know, let the games be played. I have no issue with that.
Which I think last year we kind of saw that wasn't true. Because right outside the playoffs, Alabama, they had beaten Georgia earlier in the year. Like, they beat the number 2 team in the country. Yeah. Ole Miss also beat the number 2 team in Georgia. South Carolina, they beat Clemson, who was in over them. I mean, they were maybe the
almost
hottest
beat
team.
Alabama too. Like, almost beat, very nearly beat Alabama.
Yeah, I remember that game. That was such like a weird game. That like, because South Carolina, this was before they beat A&M, and like after they got boot stomped by Ole Miss. I mean, they had injuries, and in hindsight, it's like, oh, okay, because Sellers and the running back Sanders, and they had so many players out. It's like, okay, well, that's why. But at that time, South Carolina just like sleepily staying in that game, and then they have a chance at it after an onside kick or something like that. And that was an interesting game there. But yeah, I mean, last year we saw, and Miami with Cam Ward would have been fun to see in the playoffs. So it's like last year, I think, showed that, hey, you might be able to get 15 teams that could beat those top teams, and they had before earlier in the year. I just wish they had a preseason against FCS teams that don't count against freshmen. So you just want a preseason game?
They kind of do. I mean, is that not what this Long Island game is? Like, is
Yeah,
that
because
not
now
what
you have
this week
4.
one? Yeah, because I mean that's what these games. I mean, when you've got it, because like for DJ Lagway, he was never going to redshirt last year as a true freshman because they wanted to
No.
use him in these games. But if it's a guy that you legitimately do want to redshirt, you decide, you pick and choose which of those 4 games you're going to play him in. This is, the FCS one's almost certainly going to be one of them. And you can't. I mean, it counts in the sense, but like. Everyone gets one. I mean, if you schedule more than one FCS game, you can't count the second one towards bowl eligibility. So that is an extra game you then have to win to make a bowl game. So teams don't do that. Yeah. So I mean, I guess I'm not sure what you would
I
want to
think he just
see that's
wants
different.
this preseason game.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate the idea of all those games having to be in September or in late August or whatever. Like I'd rather you play those games week 1 than have a random break in November where you get to play Alabama A&M. Like I think that's kind of stupid.
But what if you're Auburn playing New Mexico State in November?
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't say you always win them. I just said it's kind of stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously more watching the Gators football is awesome. So, but I mean, there's probably a reason they don't do preseason games. I mean, what it is, I mean, I don't know because they would put it on TV, maybe get more TV revenue than what they would be showing on ESPN.
Well, keep in mind too, like the preseason in the NFL serves the purpose of having to because you have to trim the roster. That's not something you have to do in the fall in college football. But I mean, I do think like what these schools have tried to do and gotten shut down and trying to do is kind of what Rob's asking for here, which is having the spring exhibition spring games against each other. Like that's the closest thing you'll probably ever see, which honestly, I think that's a good idea. I think the fact that they won't let them do that,
Fun idea.
silly. Yeah.
And,
I shouldn't even say good idea. It's just interesting. I'd say do it. Do it. See what happens. Yeah.
Because what's going to happen is, like Syracuse and Colorado are talking about it. I mean, Syracuse isn't going to play their best players or something, or these teams probably wouldn't play their best players too much.
Mm-hmm.
And just like a preseason game in the NFL, they're going to look at it and be like, oh, well, I mean, no one really looks at the preseason NFL games, but college, I mean, people are going to look at it. College fans especially are extra stupid compared to NFL fans, I think, or they're extra passionate,
Yeah,
so
that's the more nice way to put it, but yeah.
I'm right there with them, so calling myself stupid there, but they make extra passionate takes, and that spring game where you're playing your backups most of the time against the other team's backups. I mean, people are going to try to take too much away from it, and now you do play more freshmen now. I feel like, especially the higher level teams like the SEC teams and Big Ten teams, as your depth is now starting at lower level schools compared to when it used to be. So I do wonder, like, would that maybe help change betting lines later on down the year? Like, if you're LSU looking at the LSU Clemson game, maybe Clemson's depth doesn't look that good, or it looks horrible even in their spring game against whoever they play. Maybe it's like, ooh, well, maybe we should pick LSU to be another couple points because we know their depth isn't that good. But then it's also like you still have 5 months till a season they can improve, and there's still a whole nother portal cycle. So and you have to worry about teams not wanting to show players because of the portal.
Yeah, which I mean is the same reason we saw teams cancel their spring games across the board.
Yeah,
this offseason. So
yeah, you basically have to force everybody to have one if you're going to do it. I mean, I know Syracuse and Colorado try to do it just themselves.
Yeah.
But I feel like unless things just become unfair if you don't have everyone just do it.
Yeah, which is why this sport needs an actual governing body. But it does not.
Or a commissioner.
Right, yeah, a commissioner and a governing body would do wonders for the sport right now.
Yeah, but go check out the Voice of College Football on Twitter. I know they also just posted the projected starting skill positions on offense for Texas A&M, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago. And yeah, it's like, man, the offense, if Marcel Reed can throw the football, be a true passer, it has potential to be pretty dang good. But now we're going to start talking about other notes from Saturday's open practice. And there's been 2 players that have really been jumping out from what I've been hearing. The first one isn't going to really surprise anybody, and that's Trey Wilson. I mean,
Mhm.
for all freshman SEC back in 2023, last year and a little bit we saw he created some explosive plays against Stanford, against Kentucky. Like we saw classic Trey Wilson doing classic Trey Wilson things in those games. So we know if he's healthy, he can be a really good player. But something else that was standing out, he was running like fade routes. He was running actual deep down the field routes
Mhm.
rather than just getting the ball in those motion sets. I've heard he's more moved to be that Chimere DK position where DK was more of a true slot receiver rather than just a gadget guy. Which,
Mhm.
if you can get Trey Wilson, who not as tall as Chimere DK, Chimere I believe is 6'3", Trey's 5'11", but Trey much more after the ball with him than what you got with DK. So maybe that 20-yard throw and 5-yard after the catch for DK could become 30 yards with Trey Wilson. So I think you have a lot with Trey Wilson there. He did get hurt, but from what I've told, it's nothing serious, just a little bit nicked up there in that game. So I'm not really too worried about it. But what do you think if Trey Wilson can really step up and be what we know he can be?
Yeah, it's funny. Like I kind of honestly forget about Trey Wilson at times.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, he's been kind of in and out the last couple years. Has had flashes, but not necessarily shown like complete living up to his potential. I mean, I think where I'm kind of at with Trey Wilson is like, I think at the very least what you're gonna get, which is a guy you can get the ball in his hands, he'll make a move, get you some yards, versatile in how you can use him. And I think if that's all you get from Trey Wilson, that's fine. At that point, you probably will need a Dallas Wilson to maybe step up, or or Mizell to have a big year. But I think it is intriguing because if he can develop, almost take. I kind of hate making this comparison because they're not very similar players, but a similar leap to the kind of leap that Kadarius Toney made in 2020. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Where he goes from
Yeah.
being a guy that makes plays and is a big part of the offense, but to being a true, like, every down, do it all receiver. I think that would be maybe the biggest X factor for this entire offense, aside from like DJ Lagway's health. Because yeah, I mean, we've seen the flashes. Like, we've seen him run some of those deep balls and get more involved in like the deep passing game. And there's been moments where it's looked good. We just haven't seen him really been able to do it consistently. So, I mean, I think Trey having a big year would be one of the biggest breaks this team could catch, especially just with the fact that not a lot proven at receiver, a lot of talent, but not a lot proven.
Yeah, maybe we can get another of the South Carolina games where it's like tipped off the hands of Pearsall and Trey just miraculously goes straight to Trey Wilson. He takes it 20 yards. But yeah, I mean, if you can get Trey Wilson playing at his best, like as a full-time receiver, not just gadget guy, it also allows you to get other players to potentially gadget guys as well, with Tank Hawkins, who
Yeah.
ridiculous speed, and Aiden Mizell and TJ Abrams maybe even getting out there. But yeah, I mean, if Trey Wilson is fully there as a route runner, he's also going to really shoot up this draft stock. Someone who could get taken as a first round pick, even. I mean, we saw Kadarius Toney where he went from a relatively unknown player, just a guy that, oh, wow, he has like that one or two plays a year that make you go, who the hell is this guy? Like, never heard of this guy once before. And then in 2020, went to become a top, I think it was like in 20th overall. I think it was 20 or 21st.
Yeah, like right outside, either like at 20 or like 21 or something like that.
So, I mean, Trey Wilson could definitely take that step. But the other name that I've heard a ton about, and you may have seen on Twitter as well, freshman, someone that I've been high on since we signed him, Jaden Woods. I mean, the best part about hearing Jaden Woods stepping up is the fact that if Jaden Woods doesn't end up getting a lot of playing time, it doesn't step up, you already have George Gums and LJ McCray there. But now, if you have Jaden Woods also going out there getting playing time, you know he's earned it because you have two players above him who, I mean, we know Gums is at least a good player, And, McCray, you're hoping he hits out on that 5-star potential. But if you have Woods also, who was a top 125-ish recruit, it's a pretty high guy, someone that I was higher on than the recruiting sites. But if you have him coming out there day one as a ready player, you can also, something that's been pointed out with our concern. Now, I've heard some things that make us a bit less concerned about interior depth. If you have to move Sap inside a little bit, then it's like, okay, maybe you're playing both McCray and Gums at both edge spots. You can also rotate Jaden Woods and, all the other guys in there still, but Jaden Woods can get more playing time. Or on those obvious passing downs where you're putting out, I saw last year we put TJ Searcy at nose tackle a lot on those obvious pass downs. I could see us putting LJ McCray there and then having Woods and Gums or Sap or whoever it is off the edge there. And with Banks, obviously, who's phenomenal. And you have 4 players right there that all could rush the passer at a high level. It's wild to me because I feel like it doesn't really click in people's heads. And sometimes my own, that Florida was 3rd in the SEC in sacks, 2nd in sacks per game because Texas played like 4 more games than us. But we were 3rd in sacks and 2nd in sacks per game. Like, our pass rush at the end of the year was playing at such a high level that it picked it up it was good for 4 games in a 13 game season, and that put it at the top of the SEC.
Yeah.
And I think Searcy was also getting better at the end of the year. Pyburn, we know what Pyburn was. He wasn't a pass rusher. And sometimes you got to play on 3rd down because you don't know if they're going to run the ball or not. And sometimes you just put him out there because he's a fresh body or whatever. But you're not going to have Pyburn, or you're probably not going to have someone who's that limited at rushing the passer out there. Like, if you can get that same production from Sap, Gums, Banks, and then add on, maybe Jamari Lyons steps up. I saw a clip of Jamari Lyons in 2023, I think it was, where he just bullied an offensive lineman and gets to the running back. And our quarterback. So maybe him, but then you also have McCray and Gums, and now you also have Jaden Woods. Like, this pass rush could legitimately be the best in the SEC.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, we'll see what Woods' role actually is. I'll say, if he does have a legit role on this team, you deserve your victory lap on this one, because you identified this guy as a guy who could be early impact before he even committed. You've been on this one for a while. So,
actually.
So, I think like that would be so huge if he's able to play. I really like where your head's at. I think that's an interesting idea of maybe playing Sap inside or playing LJ McCray inside on more obvious passing downs. I think, and this isn't to say that I'm like giving up on LJ McCray or don't think that he's going to be good, but I think having competition there, like being able to push him, I think is good. It kind of seemed like Florida was going to have no choice but to rely on LJ McCray to be ready this year. Now, there's going to be, it seems like he's got a true freshman kind of nipping at his heels right now. So, I think this is only a good thing. It gives you more depth at an area where I'm not really sure I felt like Florida had incredible depth. I think you feel good about Gums and Sap, obviously. McCray, I think, still remains to be seen. But if you've got this guy, Jaden Woods, coming in and just already making an impact there, like, yeah, okay, you feel pretty good about that outside the defensive line, outside of the interior. And like you said, maybe you can remedy some of your concerns along the interior because of the flexibility that Jaden Woods playing would leave you. So this would be really huge, I think, for Florida's front seven. Like, I want to say I'm worried about the front seven. It's probably outside of the offensive line and quarterback, the area I'm least concerned about on the team. But I think there are still depth issues there and a couple spots where I'm not sure I'm like completely all in. But again, like him coming in and being a day one playable guy, I think that would be massive for this defense.
And yeah, so this was Billy Napier on him, like right after we signed him and flipped him from Penn State. Jaden Woods is one of my favorites. We evaluated Jaden really high grade. Then he came on campus with his grandmother, and after meeting him, that was exactly who we were looking for. 40-inch vertical, elite thrower, freaky throws. I think that's from his wrestling stuff. But 6'3", 235. He can run. He can be able to run. He can rush. He'll be able to run. He's loose hipped, so he can have that bend to be an elite pass rusher. Like, he's had all the tools, and then he comes on campus, and he's one of the leaders in the weight room. Like, it sounds like he has everything there that you need to be a really elite player. And if he's hitting it as a freshman, imagine what we're going to be seeing from him as a sophomore and junior.
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, that's what you like to see. Like, not all these camp standouts actually do make the impact on the field. So I think, we'll just have to see what his role actually looks like. But I mean, it seems like he's doing all the right things. And he's a guy that, like you said with that quote, like, seems like he's kind of been doing the right things for a long time. So think that's going to pay off sooner rather than later. And just another piece here for this defense and kind of gives you confidence that, say Billy does get things on track this season, has a playoff team, has a defense that's really good. It gives you some confidence that that's not all going to go away when Caleb Banks leaves, when Tyreek Sapp leaves, when Devin Moore leaves, when you start losing some of these guys that are going to be leaders on this defense this year.
Yep. Okay, time to hit on some other things that we're hearing from camp. So I heard the defensive line mostly won the day. I mean, we know how good this offensive line is going to be, and we know how good the defensive line is going to be. But I've heard some really good things about the rest of the D line too. Joseph Mbachu, like, I don't know how much we're going to see from him this year because he's such a raw athlete and player. But from what I continue to hear, they love his potential. I mean, how many players are unranked in August of before December they sign, and finish in the top two or finish 254? Like, what's the highest a player's been unranked in August and then finish that high? I mean, if Mbachu had another year to play high school football, what's to say Mbachu wasn't like a top 100 or higher level player? Because from what I keep hearing, that's the type of potential they see from him.
Yeah, I mean, that would obviously be huge if he's a guy that can come in this year. I mean, yeah, I don't know the answer to that, honestly. I can't think of another guy that's risen as much as he did at the end there. Yeah, I mean, to me, honestly, the defensive line winning, like, I mean, obviously it depends on how you can kind of look at it however you want when it's a practice situation like this. Like, is that the defensive line being good, the offensive line being bad? I mean, I'm kind of with you. Like, I think I don't really have the questions about the offensive line. Like, maybe they just had a bad day or something, but like, I don't worry about that going into the season. So if the defensive line is routinely beating them, that probably tells me more about the defensive line than it tells me about the offensive line, I would think.
Yeah, I heard some good things about Tavares Brown, like his size. He's being able to use it to work really well against the offensive line, which we need there in the interior. I think was it 2 weeks ago or last week? I can't remember, where we were talking about him for a while and his like 6'7", over 300-pound frame. I think it was last week because we were talking about the roster being added, and I actually want to check that real quick. Maybe go over that a little bit here. The Florida Gators new roster dropped. Maybe we'll hit some of the like important players there and their physical attributes, but we go look at Tavares Brown here. What number is he? 96, 6'6", and nearly 6'7", 296, so just shy of 300 pounds. And speaking, I mean, Mbachu is just shy of 6'5", and 300 pounds as well, so big boy right there. But yeah, we're talking about Brown there, nearly 300 pounds, 6'7" He has a lot of size there that you can't teach, and if we're able to teach him the other attributes of football, maybe he is someone we could count on to make some playing time. But other names, Jamari Lyons is up to 318, was 305. We need a little bit more meat there in the interior.
Yeah.
An interesting one. So Mekhi Barrow is listed at 349, which is about the same he was listed last year. But from what I've heard, he looks like Trimmer, which is really good, which is going to help him play a bit more there at that nose tackle. We saw him play a decent bit last year. So if we're getting Barrow to be a bit trimmer, maybe that adds a bit more athleticism to him and higher potential. I mean, it's all I can say is it's a good thing. I mean, I don't know what else to say there.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it seems like they've kind of gotten things under control from a both strength and conditioning program perspective. Desmond Watson notwithstanding, man, I don't know. We continue to see the Bucks training camp stuff, but I don't know what happened there. But aside from that, it seems like they're getting pretty good results from these guys year to year. So
absolutely. Some other let's see. So some other key player weights Brian Taylor up to 294. I believe he was in the 270s during spring, or maybe like low 280s. So getting him up to near 300 pounds, and right there, that's a defensive tackle now. Like going from an F to a defensive tackle, huge for our depth. Some other players, Devin Moore. So I mean, injured every single year. He's at 6'2" and nearly 6'3", 198. I've heard he's focused on his nutrition plan because he's learned that there's just some foods that allergic reactions, like small allergic reactions that cause some interesting puffing for him. That's not exactly what it was, but I can't remember what it was at this exact moment, but there's some stuff that just doesn't go well for him. And he attributes a lot of that to his injury history here at Florida. And he's apparently getting it fixed and everything. So if that is true, and now he's on the right nutrition guide and doing all of that, we know how good Devin Moore can be. That's a really good sign for him. Maybe the biggest news here, two of the biggest, I'd say, Cormani McClain, now up to 190. I mean, he was in the he was 189, so basically 190. He was like 171 when he first got here. So
yeah, I was gonna say that's a pretty big. I mean, 190 is not gonna sound insane, but like that, considering where he was at, that's pretty crazy.
Like he seems actually playable now.
Yeah.
And I mean that.
Yeah, Cormani's still. Like, I'm not saying this to be insulting, but like he's still like genuinely still looked like a high schooler as a redshirt freshman or whatever last year. Like still looked like a high schooler.
Absolutely. And one that just kind of jumped off the page to me, I wasn't even expecting to talk about this. So Duke Clark is nearly 6'1", 211, and he's one of the fastest players on the team, the fastest running back at least on the team at 6'1", 211. So he's someone that, I mean, we had him committed for a long time. So last year when the class was winding down, he fell in the rankings a bit from what he was, but kind of became an afterthought, especially getting Byron Lewis as well in the class. But I mean, with these running backs, you can never overlook them, and Jabbar Jalouk, what Jabbar Jalouk does with them. Mm-hmm. But the other name I wanted to talk about here, number 12, Ben Hanks, 6'1", 192 as well.
Okay.
Not
that's
exactly
pretty good size
sure.
That's pretty good size right out of the box for a true freshman.
Yeah, I mean, nearly the same height as Cormani. Yeah, he was listed at 170 on 247.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, he may not have been 170. Like,
probably not. I don't think he's
like that could be an old,
muscle, but like, yeah.
But I mean, that's 194. Like, he's legitimately playing. Like, that's size to play day one.
That's it. Yeah, that's huge. That's huge for depth purposes.
Actually, I want to figure this out here. What was Kaiir Elam his freshman year, 2019? We're number 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kaiir Elam was 6'2", 187.
Okay. Wow.
So, and I mean, an inch, or wait, what is Ben Hanks' size? So 6'1", 192. Right? Yeah. So he's larger than Elam, and Elam was really good as a freshman corner here. Like, corner depth was one of our biggest issues, and it's not, we can't say it's solved. We haven't seen him play on the field, but I've grown better handling, or I've kind of started liking it more and more as we get closer to the season. I mean, Devin Moore, if this stuff with his injury and he actually has it solved is true, we know how good he could be. He could be an all SEC level corner here. And Dijon, I really like what we saw from Dijon last year. I mean, there was obviously the arresting, but that's fully dropped now. And now it's just focusing on football. I know a Twitter account that focuses on NFL draft stuff, and he looks going by team and was putting out Florida's players and some players that maybe aren't on your radars right now, but could be. And Dijon Johnson was one of them. 5 starts last year. I think he posted like a 69 PFF grade, or 72 PFF grade, like someone that could easily creep up former top 100 recruit this year or a couple years ago. So I'm excited for Dijon. And now you have Cormani getting to playable size, former 5-star, and he's putting the work in. Like, I never like to talk about personal stuff and what their work ethics are or anything like that, but that was clearly a problem with Cormani early on at Colorado, and don't know what happened here, but It's someone that's obviously not that bad now, and he's there. He's fully locked in, it seems. So if you can get that from Cormani and then Ben Hanks with what he's measuring in at, I think those 4 corners, we could have a solid corner unit there with talent and proven production.
Yeah, speaking of Dijon, he is at least banged up, it seems, correct? He was at least a limited participant yesterday.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
So we'll monitor that. I mean, I will say though, yeah, we'll see what the deal is with Devin Moore, but I mean, with Ben Hanks and Cormani looking like they're at least going to be size-wise capable of contributing this year. I mean, that's huge because how many of our, like, when we're, voicing potential disaster situations, how many of them just start with Devin Moore gets hurt? Like, that's kind of like the most clear-cut like thing that could go wrong for this team. So, between those two things, like, you hope that maybe that problem won't be as pronounced as it seemed like it might have been earlier in the offseason.
Yeah, Rob here with a great point. With how good our receiving core is, or how good we think it will be, the DBs will have plenty of experience going against talented players and should have no issues during the season. Another big news from the practice, Aaron Gates seems like he's full go.
Yeah, that's
huge.
Which
7 months or 8 months off his ACL injury. Like, oh my goodness, Aaron Gates is superhuman at that point.
I mean, this is one we were talking about earlier in this offseason. Like, we don't know when he'll be back at all.
Exactly.
Like
we were hoping he'll be back by week 3.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's crazy if he's full go already. That's, I mean, you've seen it. Do you remember Dre Massey?
I vividly remember him.
He like tore his, I think it was 2016. He tore his ACL on like the opening kick return of the season and was like back to being like full go, but no contact by spring ball. I was like, geez, man.
Okay. I didn't follow that much, but I vividly remember that.
That's like when I think of like fast ACL recoveries, that's just the one I think of. And Gates is up there now too.
Yeah. So, hey, we love to have it because with what we saw from him at the end of last year before his injury, like maybe could be the best DB we have. So, other news, Michael Carraway Jr. has moved to safety, which is also something that kind of tells me that they feel comfortable at corner.
Or at least more comfortable than they do at safety.
Yeah, that could be true, but I mean,
yeah,
I think we are at least adept at safety because
that's what I mean. That's what I meant.
Your 2 starters, and then it's 2 freshmen. Or, I mean, Josiah Scott, if he's a real person or not. But, yeah, I mean, basically it's your 2 starters and 2 freshmen. So that's fair, but I also think with Castell and Thornton have, like, never not played.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean.
I think, I don't know. Are you completely convinced that like that starting safety duo couldn't see any shakeup over the course of the season? Like, I'm not saying I think it's like the likeliest scenario necessarily, but I'm not sure either of those guys have like fully solidified their role. Like, I think there is potentially playing time up for grabs at safety.
I mean, we've seen Castell not play good football.
Yeah.
So if that happens, there obviously is, but like, I just, unless it's an injury, I don't really see it happening.
Okay.
You got an Auburn fan in here. Were y'all saying that back in early April?
I'm surprised you're saying it now. You guys know it's football season we're talking about right now, right?
I heard Diego Pavia might be in here right now, so.
No. Wow, I forgot both Alabama schools have Diego Pavia trauma. That's very funny.
Auburn lost to him twice at Vanderbilt and New Mexico as well. So, yeah. No, I'm sorry. Thanks for joining in the stream. I hope we can. I saw a tweet about it the other day. It was talking about we've played Auburn once since like 2010, and it was the 2019 game, and played A&M like 5 times since 2017.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just ridiculous. I mean, we'll probably end up playing each other next year if I had to guess.
Well, I don't know because they haven't figured out, like they haven't made a determination for how the schedule. So we have no clue how the schedules are going to work next year.
Yeah, we have no clue, but like we haven't played them in 6 years now, so it's like,
yeah, but I'm just like they start a complete rotation that could have the on game, the rotation. You know what I mean? Way of knowing.
Yep.
So
yeah, that is true. Castile plays to not make a mistake, so he ends up not making any plays and eventually gives up a big play. We'll see. I've heard a lot of good things about Castell's development this year, so
I also think like sometimes he just gets beat. Like I don't know if it needs to be that complicated. Like he just got beat sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I know it was also said he was playing with an injury for a lot of last year, but it's like he was also playing a lot, so he couldn't really get healthy because we needed him to play. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I know most years we know by week 1, or I mean, you don't know by week 1 because it's a lot of overreacting, but it's like we have to know by week 1, or you're already looking at an L in the loss column. So
yeah,
back-to-back Utah games and the Miami game, but now we won't know till week 3, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, because LSU does get to play a game against a really good team week 1.
Well, if we have problems week 2, we might know by week 2. But if things go well, we won't know how good until week 3.
Yeah. Yeah, we need more Auburn versus UF. Totally agree there. But do you have any other notes from Saturday's open practice that you maybe you heard saw something or anything like that?
I wanted to mention the Dijon thing. I'm trying to remember if there was anything else that I wanted to talk about. Oh no, I think the other thing was just Gates, so we hit on that too. Yeah, I think that kind of about covers what I had.
Yep. I mean, we talked about Lagway earlier, but hopefully very soon we can see him be a full go, running the full practices, not just throwing with the receivers and everything that. Because I think that's when we can really start to see where the receivers and the corners and where everyone's really at. And hopefully Trey and Aiden Mizell also went down with an injury in the practice. But from what I was told, I was told Aiden Mizell is good before I heard about Trey Wilson. So I'm more confident in Aiden Mizell being good right now. But I'm not too worried about those injuries right now. I mean, injuries happen all the time. Sometimes they're severe, sometimes they're not. And I don't think either of these are. Hey, thanks, Steve the Great. Make sure you guys drop a like, and if you're not, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. But we'll be back in nearly a minute, just a short little video, and then we're going to talk some Florida versus Georgia football.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link, and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact, just like whatever link you use right now. No difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.
Welcome back to Florida Gators Live. And every year, I feel like this has been the biggest game for Florida every year since I've been a fan. I mean, now we get some big-time home games against Texas, but so maybe that could feel like maybe the biggest game of the season for you. But I still fully believe that the Florida-Georgia rivalry or actually, I should just do this. I still believe that the Florida-Georgia rivalry game is Florida's biggest game this season. Because I feel like maybe we don't make the playoffs. Maybe it's a bit more of disappointment than we want this season to be. Maybe we go 8-3 or 9-3 and we miss them. But if we beat Georgia, that's going to mean something. Because we've only beaten Georgia once since we've hired Dan Mullen.
Mm-hmm.
And since we've lost, since Jim McElwain lost from his final season, we've only beaten them once. So one of the last, 8 attempts now have gone to the Gators. So I feel like it's such a big deal, and I really think we have the pieces this year.
Yeah, I think the Texas game is still maybe the game I have circled more just because I think the team potentially going to be the number one team in the nation coming into the swamp. But I think this Georgia game, and we'll get into why I think this is the case. I think this Georgia game is the best opportunity Florida's going to have to do something big this year. I think this is the most gettable of the big games on the schedule. I think it's the one that would be the most meaningful in terms of Billy winning this game over Kirby, especially after Georgia. I mean, I don't want to say they had a down year because they won the SEC last year, but a down year by their standards. If they're kind of trending away from annual national championship, contending, and Florida's able to beat them with Billy Napier, I think that would be one of the more narrative shifting wins Billy could have, has had the opportunity to get.
I think it'll also mean something for our boosters, which we know how much they matter now when it comes to recruiting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have the rivalry wins. I mean, obviously got FSU last year. I mean, it would have been a disaster if you didn't get FSU last year. Had Tennessee the year before that. But hasn't been able to put a lot of those feathers in his cap. So this would be a big one.
Yep. All right. So let me pull up the Georgia football roster here real quick. I mean, we all know what Georgia's biggest question is heading into the season. It's the quarterback. I mean, we know it's going to, or we think we know it's going to be Gunnar Stockton. I know there's been some talks about Ryan Puglisi, but it's probably going to be Gunnar Stockton to start the year there for Georgia. And I don't know how to feel about Gunnar Stockton. I mean, what do you think about him? Because I think he's solid, but I don't think I think he might be solid. I don't think he has a ceiling above being good.
No, I kind of do know how to feel about Gunnar Stockton, which is just not particularly enthused. To be perfectly honest with you, I mean, we've seen him. Yeah, they do have a lot of questions, and we're gonna get into it. But this is the most questions of a Georgia team I've had coming into a season since Kirby got things rolling.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think Gunnar Stockton, like we saw last year, like we saw moments. He's not bad. I mean, he, helped lead a comeback in that SEC championship game after Carson Beck got hurt. I mean, I don't think he had to I don't think he was particularly outstanding, nor was he in the loss to Notre Dame in the playoff. But I mean, I think it's going to be him. I mean, they brought him to SEC media days and stuff. I mean, maybe it's him. Maybe you have a very short leash to go to Puglisi, but I think it's pretty clearly going to be Gunnar Stockton. And it's just I feel like, and I think I talked about this a little bit when we previewed the Miami game, but I feel like people have almost gone too far on Carson Beck. He played a really bad stretch of games last year. And I think it made people underrate the fact that he had, I believe okay. Well, what I'm saying is I believe I saw earlier this week that he ranked 8th in QBR in college football last season, threw 28 touchdowns. That's production. He had his shortcomings. He made mistakes, but that is still production that Georgia's going to miss. And I don't really feel like Gunnar Stockton is poised to step in there and match that, if let alone exceed it, especially because, and we'll get into it, I'm not all that impressed with what they've got around him at the skill positions, to be perfectly honest with you. At least in the receiving game, I think they've got good backs, but
Rob right here, which I don't think I agree with. Stockton equals Bo Nix at Auburn. I think Bo Nix was severely underrated at Auburn, which we then went to see at Oregon, and now he was just ranked a top 100 player in the NFL this past year. So, I mean, I think it was underrated there, but no. So I actually have a big take on Carson Beck. It's something that I've been debating in my head now for the past couple of weeks here. I am this close to picking Miami to go 11-1, which is
so your take was you kind of agree with me. You kind of think we've gone too far on criticizing Carson Beck. Okay,
so I've looked back and I've read some draft report stuff, and looked at numbers. Carson Beck might be the best quarterback in college football at working in a clean pocket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So because Carson Beck's biggest problem is when he's getting rushed, which when you're playing in the SEC or playing in the NFL, you're going to experience a lot of good pass rushers. And Georgia's offensive line last year wasn't as good as we've seen it. And They got some injuries, though. Their offensive line took a severe downgrade compared to the year before, and his weapons
look how he played the year before. Sorry, but look how he played the year before. Look how he played in 2023. Yeah.
Yeah. So I look at Miami going into this year with Carson Beck, and so I've kind of had Notre Dame penciled in as a win, or Miami's penciled in as a win for Notre Dame for the entire offseason. But now I'm looking more and more into it, and I'm like really close to picking Miami to beating Notre Dame because Notre Dame lost, I think, their top 2 edge rushers. Their highest, like they have a guy returning who played in like 3 games last year who they're really high on and has played really good, but has been season-ending injuries the last like 2 years. I really worry about Notre Dame's ability to get to Carson Beck. And if Carson Beck can just sit in the pocket the entire game, I mean, his receivers need to get open, which is still the big question for Miami, but they have some talent there. I think they'll have a guy or two step up, and I don't think anyone else besides us on their schedule is going to give them pressure. I mean, Notre Dame, we'll see. That's where I'm like debating, like, do I think they do? But like, I think Miami and Carson Beck could be like a pretty underrated team, at least compared to their schedule, because very few, if any, are going to get pressure on Carson Beck this year. And he's going to cook if they don't.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think Beck and Miami are going to be fine offensively this year. My only thing is that defense better be better.
Yeah,
because
that's also.
I don't really think there's any way you're going to have the same level. I mean, I think it's going to be a step back for the offense, even though I think the offense is going to be fine, just because you don't have Cam Ward and everything Cam Ward was able to do, and you lost a lot of those good receivers. So, you know, and Elijah Arroyo at tight end. So, like, I think that, like, you know, I think the way I see it, like, I think Beck is going to be fine. I think Beck is the winner of the divorce from Georgia way more so than Georgia is. And I mean, yeah.
Georgia
basically
just settled. I feel like they just settled with Gunnar Stockton. I mean, because there was the talk about Fernando Mendoza going to Georgia, and I think that would have been a really good addition for him, but they didn't for some reason. And I mean, I just don't get it.
And they were I remember hearing that they were in the mix for him. I mean, part of that's probably because they do also have Puglisi, so it's like they have another guy they've been developing if it doesn't work out. But yeah, this seemed like a team that would have been pretty prime for a transfer candidate, especially because it's not like, you know, if Gunnar Stockton had come in those games and just absolutely balled out, it'd be like, okay, well, we have reason to feel really confident. But he wasn't bad, but I wouldn't say he balled out either.
No, I mean, Rob here, what are you basing that on? Who did Miami beat last year? This has nothing to do with Miami last year.
I'm just not
entirely
really
new team,
sure
basically.
I'm not sure I understand.
Because we were talking about their offensive line, which we know is going to be good, especially compared to most of their competition. And Carson Beck, I mean, we didn't really make any hot takes about Miami's football team outside the fact that
we both picked us to beat them on the road. We both picked us to beat them on the road.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, going back to the Carson Beck and thing, like, this Gunnar Stockton, it's like they have Puglisi, but I mean, Mendoza. So I think Mendoza's a redshirt sophomore, so he could leave for the NFL this year. But I feel like Mendoza, he could be a 2-year guy for them, even. I mean, he's a legit NFL talent. Like, I just don't see it with Stockton. And maybe Puglisi does have something there that could be a very good player for him, but like, he's not going to start over Stockton. So how good is he?
Yeah, we could be back to, I mean, maybe this will look like a really stupid statement in a couple months, but we could be back to the sort of pre Stetson Bennett getting good, just marginal Georgia quarterback situation where it's just like, you know, it's not like a disaster, but it's a clear limiting factor and not something.
Jake Fromm is better than Justin Fields.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like we could be back to that. We could be back to Stetson before Stetson actually became honestly pretty good, which he was like at the end there at Georgia.
Yeah, Heisman finalist.
But there was a point where he was not good.
No, 2020.
And Yeah. So, I mean, I think, between the end of Stetson and Beck being developing into a pretty good player, they haven't had to deal with that in a couple of years. I think that might be back this year.
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance to do that. We talked about it earlier in the show, but we're feeling good about Lagway, his health, and he was looking really good at practice. And we think he's going to be a full go in practice within the next week or so. So we're not too worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back here to this Florida-Georgia preview, I mean, QB is always the most important position on the field, so it's, of course, going to take the most time. You mentioned their run game, man. It's like Georgia's going to have a good run game, but so Nate Frazier was a freshman last year. What was his numbers, actually?
Pretty good, honestly. He had to play a lot in favor of I was about to say what's his face? Yeah, Trevor Etienne.
Don't the stats usually pull up on our lads?
They do.
That's weird.
They do now. That's a very nice new our lads edition. Is it not showing for Nate Frazier? Here, I've got their team numbers. I got it in front of me. He had
I have them up too.
671, 8 touchdowns, 5 yards of carry. Yeah.
So that's a pretty good year there for
outrushed ETN in more games though.
Yeah, that's pretty good there. But so after him, I know they bring in Josh McCray, the transfer from Illinois, who also went through 609. 10, I guess a big time red zone threat type of player right there that they could use.
Yeah.
And Roderick Robinson returns, at Cass Jones, more of the receiving back. Chauncey Bowen's a recruit they took from us, but I don't know if with the quarterback and like the rest of the offense, if this running back room or in the O line is something that really is like a difference. Like, I don't know if it's something that I can think is going to be able to overcome the rest of their offensive worries or woes.
I'll agree with that only because, but I think honestly, I think this is a good. I think the running backs are fine. I think sophomore Nate Frazier and Josh McCray. Like, I think that's a pretty strong duo. My concern is more about the offensive line. I mean, I think you're replacing something like 4 or 5 starters, at least 3 or 5.
Yeah,
they lost a decent amount there.
I think
Tate Radledge, who's a really good player.
So I know Drew Bobo is replacing someone from last year. Mike, I'm pretty sure the interior they replaced, and then Monroe Freely was not good last year.
I think Ernest Green is the only returning
Monroe
starter.
Freely started more than half of the year last year.
Did he? Okay.
I think that was because of injuries, but he was not good. Like, I remember that being something that was vividly talked about. Now he's a former top 50, top 100 recruit. So it's like they continue to develop him, but I remember he was not good last year.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think granted it's Georgia, like, they're recruiting guys in the trenches, they're, when someone goes, they're replacing them with a blue chip. But with that being said, like you said, it wasn't a great offensive line last year anyway, at least by Kirby Smart Georgia standards. So, I mean, I think it's not about the running backs, but to me, it's just, I think all in all, there's just not, I don't see like where on this offense does the edge come from? I don't think you're going to have an extremely dominant, group up front. I don't think, we haven't gotten into the receivers yet, but I think it feels like more of the same at receiver. It feels like another group that has the same kind of problems that Georgia receivers have had for a few years now.
And I feel like, I think he's a good player, but I just feel like Zachariah Branch is like the most overrated player in college football.
We just haven't really seen like the talents there. You just have it. It's like, how is it going to, first of all, we haven't really seen it like work out. And also, like, is Mike Bobo going to be the one that unlocks it? I don't really think so.
So I feel like people talk about Zachariah Branch. I've seen him ranked as like a top 5 wide receiver in college football. I mean, his production is basically what Trey Wilson's done.
Yeah.
He has Trey Wilson production, but is getting no one's getting Jeremiah Smith.
I was about to say too much, but like he's getting
hype of someone who
Eric Singleton hype. Like he was like up there at the top of the transfer portal with like Eric Singleton among receivers. So
he's getting top 5 wide receiver hype with Trey Wilson production. And Trey Wilson has missed half of a season of football when you include the games he's missed over the last 2 seasons. So, and I think Branch can be a really good wide receiver, and very dynamic playmaker. Get the ball in his hand, he's going to do something. But I don't think he's as good as people think he is. Like, Lincoln Riley couldn't get out of him. Why is Bobo and Kirby Smart going to get out of him?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's totally valid. And then, when you look at like the other guys they got, I mean, it's like Dylan Bell, 460-yard receiver last year, Colby Young, 149 yards last year. Like, there's
Noah Thomas is going to start over Colby Young.
Yeah, okay, yeah, true. But like, even Noah Thomas had like 500 yards last year at A&M. So it's like, there's no one here that is just like a clear game changer. And it's like, Arian Smith and Dominic Lovett had talent, but they also had drop issues and stuff like that. And I think you're kind of looking at potentially more of the same kind of problem that, like I said, like, I don't know if this group fundamentally changes the pass catcher situation that Georgia's had the last few years. And again, like, we'll see about Oscar Delp at tight end, like former big time recruit, a guy that everyone hyped as the Brock Bowers replacement. Haven't really seen
last year.
Kind of a disappointing. I'm not saying he's bad, but just, when you're hyped as the guy who's going to replace Brock Bowers, we didn't really see that, even though he's a former, I think, 5-star recruit.
Like,
so
Lawson Lucky outcaught Oscar Delp last year. And it's like, they also had Ben Urisic, who was a Stanford transfer, who was really good. So they had a tight end room, or they played a lot of tight ends last year. But I don't feel like they all together came together to be a really good room. But so I don't know if Oscar Delp is going to be able to come together to be a really good player this year. He's a senior now?
Yeah, he's been there because he was playing behind Bowers for a couple
I thought he
was
a sophomore.
I thought he was like a junior. I didn't realize he was.
I thought he was a sophomore last season. So
yeah,
is what I mean.
Yeah. Now, man, I just, my problem with this Georgia, it's like, who's the game changer? Who's the game changer on this Georgia offense? Like, I don't know. I really don't know. I think I feel pretty confident in saying I think this is going to be the worst Georgia offense of the I don't want to necessarily say of the Kirby era, but like of the post 2020, like the post 2020 Kirby era.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree. It's going to be the worst offense since Stetson, but if you don't include 2020, because remember they were supposed to also have Jamie Newman, but COVID stuff happened. How good he would have been is to be determined. Yeah, but like, if you don't include the COVID year, this is the worst offense they've had since Kirby's first year, in my opinion. And they still had Jacob Eason. I'm pretty sure that his first season there too. So
that was the Eason year, and then they went to Fromm in 2017.
Yeah, I think the Fromm offense, because they had like an elite running game those years. I mean, with Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, there's DeAndre Swift. Like,
was Nick Chubb on that team that went to the national championship game in 2017?
Let me look this up.
I couldn't remember who they had that year.
2017 was his last year there.
Wow. Okay. I didn't remember that, honestly. I didn't realize he was still there at that point.
Yeah. So maybe the offensive line improves, and it's new guys, so we'll see what ends up happening there, and the run game can take over. But I just don't see it with Gunnar Stockton and this group of receivers, because I feel like outside of Noah Thomas, I mean, Colby Young is a very weird situation there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But like, I feel like outside of Noah Thomas, they don't have anyone they can throw the ball to 10 yards down the field. And I don't know if Gunnar Stockton can throw the ball 10 yards down the field. Like, so we'll see. But let's move on to the defense here. We'll do this pretty quickly. And I think when you're talking about Georgia football, it's like, okay, we're discrediting their offense. People have been doing that every year since Kirby's been there, really. So that's whatever. But I think the big question that I have for Georgia, and no one ever questions Georgia's defense, is their defense. Because I think they replaced a good bit on this defense. I look specifically at the defensive line. So Gabe Harris, returning edge rusher, had 2 sacks last year, or defensive end, was good, high-rated recruit. You expect him to take another step, but it feels like every year Georgia's returning someone who was the backup last year, who is still being projected to be a top 5 pick in the next year's NFL draft. But I don't think you have that right now from Gabe Harris. Joseph Jonah Johnny is also a former 5-star. It's just like they have the former talent there, just not as proven as I feel like we're used to seeing. And then you also look at nose tackle, Jordan Hall, aka Big Baby, and Nasir Johnson. Like they're probably gonna be good. But again, are they gonna be Jordan Davis good? Was it Jordan Davis the nose tackle?
Yeah, Jordan Davis. Not last. Well, Jordan Davis was a couple years ago.
No, not last year, but like a couple years before.
Yeah. He was the
or
huge
maybe
one,
Chris. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna be close to that. I mean,
no,
I'm not that high on Jordan Hall. I don't even think he starts. I think Nasir Johnson starts, or Kristen Miller is listed at defensive tackle. He can also play nose tackle there for who is their like high returning player that defensive linemen don't usually get. Defensive tackles don't usually get crazy stats. So you look at 12 tackles, 1.5 sacks. Like you don't really use that too much to evaluate them, but draft scouts have him as a first or second round draft pick. Like that's their big returning name. And then they bring in Elo Madozi from Army, who had 6.5 sacks last year, also coming off the edge. I mean, coming from Army, we'll see. Like if it was good enough for Georgia to take, I think Kirby is gonna make good reads there. But if I were to tell you, are you taking Florida's D line or Georgia's D line? And if I were to tell you, it was even a question. It's never a question. It's always just Georgia. But if I were to ask you, are you taking Florida's or Georgia's? There's a legit argument that it's Florida's.
I mean, I think Florida's is indisputably more proven.
Yeah, it's definitely more proven. Like, there's no doubt about that. So it's like, it's really weird because every year it's just they're going to be good, or they're going to be great. They're going to be elite. But this year it's like they're going to be good, but are they going to be that next level? Especially compared to Florida's offensive line, which we saw last year was one of the top 10 best in the country. Maybe this year it's going to be even better. So it's like, is it something that's going to take over the game?
Yeah. I mean, 100%. I think, this is, we see, like I said, you see Georgia deal with this every year. They have the churn every year where they lose a bunch of talent, new former blue chips have to step in, and usually they're fine. But this year, they really don't bring the guys back. Like, I mean, when you're looking at like who are the star returning players on this defense? Like it's CJ Allen, the linebacker. It's Dalen Everett, the corner, a really, really good cornerback there. But it's like beyond that, it's guys we have questions about, and I think Madozi, like, I think that's a really intriguing pickup, kind of an edge rusher from Army. I mean, but again, we'll see, like playing in the American. So we'll see how he handles that leap. And then, added a couple guys in the secondary in Zion Branch and Adrian Maddox, a guy that Florida was in the mix for. And so
it's good.
But I mean, and it's like, are those guys even poised to start necessarily? Like, I don't know.
That's how good this defense. That's like how we know this defense is going to be at least good.
Yeah, it's not going to be like a bottom half of the SEC defense. No. But there's not the bona fide stars that we're used to Georgia having, and that's true on both sides of the ball. But like, I don't know. You say you worry more about the defense. I think that the defense is more. I think the defense is more likely to be closer to Georgia's standards than the offense is. But I think the defense is the thing you're the most concerned about, because we've seen Georgia manage to win with pretty questionable offense for a lot of the Kirby era. So we know they can do that if they have to. Have we seen them be able to win with like just above average, but not great defense? Yeah, I don't know.
That's where I'm getting at, because since Kirby's been there and like since 2017, basically, their defenses, like on a scale of 1 to 10, have been like a 9 or 10 every single year. Even if their offenses are like a 6 or a 7, they have the best defense, a top 3 defense, like every single year that can carry them. And we're worrying about their offense, and neither of us are sold on it. But it's like, okay, well, they're going to have their defense. I think this defense is more like a 7 or an 8 than it is a 9 or a 10. which that is still a top 25, top 20, maybe top 15 or close to top 10 defense. But it's not something that you look back at basically every Florida-Georgia game since, besides like 2020, it's like the Georgia defense just manhandles and swarms the Florida offense. I mean, last year we were playing, what's-his-face, Aiden Warner for most of the game. So it's like, that's going to happen when Aiden Warner's the quarterback. So I don't think you can look into that too much. But, like, I don't know if this is a Georgia defense that, if their offense is lagging behind, if they're going to face a good offense, I think this could be a thing where we're looking at it. It's like, it's going to be a close game. But I could see it being a thing where halftime, and it's like 20-10. Or 17-7 or something like that, to where it's like, it's still a close game and it's the Georgia effect, but that defense isn't as elite to where it could be like 10-7 from Georgia's favor instead, or Georgia gets a defensive play that gives them an easy touchdown like normal. Like, it's something that's going to maybe give a 10-point swing.
Yeah, which is why I think
teams.
Yeah, which is why I think this game, of all the ones, like, I guess just the games that we have circled this year, the ones that we think are going to be particularly challenging, this Texas, LSU, your mileage may vary on Miami and A&M, but like the games that we're all like, these are the really important ones that are going to determine the way the season goes. I think like you could make an argument that this is the one that could just swing in Florida's favor the most, because like if Florida's able to have offensive success in this game, like if Georgia's defense is struggling against the receivers or the offensive line, if they're not getting, pressure, not getting push in the run game, like it would be pretty easy to see Florida jumping out to a lead. And I don't think this team's built to come from behind. I mean, especially like against the Florida defense at full strength, like with the front seven that we have, and I think the secondary that should be at least serviceable. Like I don't really see this Georgia team being one that's going to be able to erase deficits like that. So like, I think all those games, like I think those games, like the LSU game, I think has some negative matchup elements, for Florida. I think the Texas game certainly has some negative matchup elements for Florida.
And it's Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill.
Yeah. This one is like, I don't think there's a lot of mismatches here for the Gators. There's talent over matches. There's a lot of talent over matches, in terms of like blue chip ratio, but there's not really a lot of areas where I'm like, I think Florida's just going to be in hell trying to do this one thing. Like, I don't really see that here.
I think I'm starting to flip you, because the entire offseason.
You're flipping me a little. I have
one of our 3 losses.
And I don't know if we want to this is one of my 3 losses along with LSU and Texas. And I don't know if we want to get into this now. I don't think I'm flipping on this one, but what I will say is if you asked me which of the 3 I think is most likely to flip, like which one I would say I think Florida's most likely to win, I'll go with this one over Texas, over LSU on the road. I think this is the one that is easiest to talk myself into of those 3, because the LSU game has, just all the difficulties of playing at LSU, first real test of the season. Texas is at home, which is huge, but, still I think going to be pretty overmatched talent-wise. That's maybe going to be the number 1 team in the nation. This one, it's like we saw Florida hang with these guys last year, and I think you could argue they're going to take a step back. So,
and
Florida, exactly. So I really don't think it's that hard of a sell here. The only reason I'm not all the way there is just because we do, Florida has really struggled to beat Kirby Smart. And I think it's fair to say that under Kirby Smart, Georgia tends to get up for this game. Maybe they didn't really last year, but you typically get a Kirby is motivated going into the Florida game. Like, he wants to win it. He was part of the rivalry too. So, there's a lot of motivation on that front.
Especially if this is a down Georgia team, to where I think they played Bama. They already played Bama by this point, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, that's like September 28th again or something like that.
Yeah, so it's a game that if they're as bad as we think they could, or if they're not as good as we think they usually are, that's a game they could definitely already have a loss. I mean, like they did last year going into, and it's a game that Kirby, it's like, okay, this Florida team still has playoff hopes, I am going into this game. I'm giving it my all to make sure we don't lose it. So
for sure.
And that's a scary type of deal there with Kirby. Something that not necessarily focused on this game, but I was looking at our roster, and you brought up the blue chip talent difference and everything like that. So if you go through Florida's roster, so QB Lagway 5-star, Ball and Jackson, Ball low 4-star, Jacoby Jackson was like a low 3-star JUCO player who's like the hundreds of the JUCO rankings, but they're both proven players. Ball was a freshman last year, all a freshman SEC, and maybe one of the best running backs in the SEC already. So it's like he's a proven player at this point. Like we know he's better than a low 4-star out of high school. Then you look at the receiver room; it's a bunch of talent. Like Jamichael Sawyer was like a mid-tier 4-star, and then Trey was a borderline top 100 player. Mizell borderline top 100, and Dallas Wilson was a 5-star. And you look at the other talents.
Burnell Brown, 5 stars too.
5 stars and borderline, 4 stars and stuff like that. Like we had the talent at wide receiver that we don't have at a lot of other positions. But then look at the offensive line. 4 of the 5 starters were former 3-stars. But we know we're going to have one of the best offensive lines in the country. Slaughter's the best center. Barber is one of the best tackles in the country. Like they're former 3-stars, and you look at the roster. Like we compare the talent differential, it's gonna be like, hey, they're 3-stars. But we know these are legit players that are going to be playing on Sundays. So, and you look at the defense, Caleb Banks was a 3-star, but out of high school. But now, again, he's another one of those players that could be one of the best defensive tackles in college football. And then you look at the rest of the line. I think defensive tackle is probably nose tackle is like the one position on the entire defense where you don't have many highly rated guys nor proven lower rated guys. Although nose tackle, in theory, could also just do well when you just have a body there. And then you look at the players around him. Tyree Sapp, a former top recruit, but also a guy that is seen as a potential first-round pick. And then edge, George Gums, we see 5 sacks last year, not even rushing the passer that much. And McCray and Woods, McCray was a 5-star, and Woods, a guy that was a top 125 recruit. My point I'm getting at, you go through the entire roster, and you see a bunch of 3-stars. But when you look at those 3-stars, is some of the players that, who are the top 3 players on our team? Jake Slaughter, easily. And then, if you don't, Lagway, I say not yet. He has to prove it still. If you look at our top 3 most proven players, it's Banks, Sapp. It's Slaughter, Barber, and Banks probably. Maybe Sapp there instead, but those were all 3-stars who were now considered possible first-round picks or, centers, whatever, because it's not drafted as highly. But the best center in the country,
he'll be the first center taken, whether that's first or second round, probably second round, but still.
So it's like our 3-stars that we're starting are our most proven and not just good, but great players. And then our young talent are now being like our juniors and stuff now are those former highly rated guys that Georgia is counting to step up on now. Not as many, but, it's a good enough amount to where I think the talent differential, specifically with Georgia, I don't know if it's that much now when you would consider the fact that the 3-stars we do have starting and getting significant playing time are ones that we're not worried about being former 3-stars.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think they've developed the guys they have nicely, and now the talent base. The talent base among the young guys is certainly higher than it was, 2 years ago. So there's no doubt about that. I think, and we're getting to the point, hopefully, I think everyone wants to be where this Georgia team is that we've talked about, where you can have guys leave, go get drafted, and their replacements are a lot of former top 200, top 150 guys. I think that's where everyone wants to be. I don't know. Florida's not quite there yet, but I think Florida's quickly getting there. When you look at the DBs that they added, the defensive line guys, I think Florida's really building a good stable of depth right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you said a bit ago, this is still going to be considered a loss for you.
For now, yeah, it's still a loss. I think I want to be clear what I'm saying here about Georgia. Like, I think this Georgia team has a lot of potential flaws and a lot of potential shortcomings. I also think the absolute worst case scenario is probably 8-4, and that's a disaster if that's what happens. Yeah. I don't think that's very likely. So, I mean, I think this is still a good team, and I still need to see Billy pull it off, because I think ultimately Billy's problem in this game has been we've been trying to beat Georgia in a very similar way to the way they try to beat us, and we're doing it with a less talented team. So.
Yeah, and my prediction, I don't need to say anything. It's just, here it is. That's my prediction right there. Yeah, I mean, I think you can tell I'm picking the Gators just based on that. But yeah, I got the Gators, and it's one of our 2 losses. But again, like, I really like the talent on this team. I think, like, again, the biggest question probably is coaching. But we've seen teams, I mean, Gene Chizik won a national title. That's all I need to say there. We've seen teams and specifically great quarterbacks outdo coaching. And I think Billy is a bit overhated as a coach on, like, game day stuff. I mean, let's not forget, in this game, only one of these coaches have put their quarterbacks in the punt formation.
That is
true.
And
that's Kirby Smart. And that's Kirby Smart, of course. So, yeah, I'm still picking Florida. Natuno is still picking Georgia to win this one, but it's a game, hopefully, when we get to, what is this game? This game, is it early November? Is it November 1st this year? Or is it still late October?
It's the same weekend it's always been.
It's the same weekend, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes that leads to it being November. I can't remember which one it is this year.
Yeah, but when we get there, hopefully we're still talking about Florida as a playoff team, and this is a game that's back to being the top of the national scene that we haven't seen since the 2020 season, and Florida was able to come on top there, so hopefully we can do that again. But man, oh man, that was fun to talk about. So next week, on next week's show, we're actually going to do some superlatives. We're a preseason superlatives. We're going to talk about. Actually, what I want to say here is leave in the comments some superlatives you want us to do, maybe some fun ones, because obviously we're going to do our preseason MVP, our best offensive, best defensive, who we think are our standout freshmen. I would say transfer, but I mean, we'll probably see one transfer because there's probably only 2 names that you can even talk about that are transfers. So not much really to just dissect there, but we're going to have some of the obvious ones, but leave in the comments some different ones that you want us to do. We're also going to have another Texas breakdown. Matthew Miller from the Texas channel wants to do one. So we're going to bring him on, get his perspective. He's going to get our perspective, and we're going to do a nice Florida-Texas breakdown that it's going to get a bit more, because I know leaving the Texas breakdown, we both felt a bit more confident about Florida, although we both picked Florida to lose. Maybe with the talking from the Texas fan, that could change our minds.
Mm-hmm. Knock us back down to earth.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I was saying knock us back down to earth from our overconfident perch.
Yeah, Colin Simmons just going to bully Austin Barber, which unfortunately isn't unrealistic. I wish it was, but no.
Not entirely.
I think I have Colin Simmons being the best edge rusher in college football, and Anthony Hill's the best linebacker. So it's sad, but still got all other stuff around it. But hey, thank you guys for showing up. All right, yeah, that's telling me to end the show there. Sorry about that, guys, but yeah, thank you guys for showing up. Tyler, any concluding thoughts?
No, I just, it's been fun going through these games. It's cool to get the deeper perspective of these other teams and, not just learning about it all on game week. So I feel like we have a pretty good, idea about, going into the year about, how we feel Florida's going to handle these games.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you show up next Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, like always. We will see you then. And as always, go Gators.